Guys, got a lot going on in our garden. We've seen some pretty nice days outside, but we've also are still in winter. And so with winter, where I am and particularly is gonna come with some snow. So today is snowing, and we actually have been able to make some pretty good progress over the last couple of weeks out in the garden. So we've got some spinach growing pretty nicely out there. We've got some lettuce, peas all doing nice, and we're going to be going down to 14 degrees tonight, which is going to lead into another cold day tomorrow. So I've had to cover some things up outdoors. Uh, in here in the greenhouse, I'm gonna have to cover this area up, which you can see we've got some okra that's starting to sprout here. We also have some watermelon. So this particular section here, I'm gonna have to cover it up with the top. Now with this top, I'll probably drill a few holes in there because when I put the top on this thing, it's kind of build up some bad stuff in there. So I want to make sure some air is circulating in there. Now, here's what I'm expecting for the inside of the greenhouse. Since we're going down to 14 degrees tonight, I'm expecting the temperature in here to be somewhere between 25 and I would say 45, because you don't typically at night it's between 10 and 20 degrees warmer in here. I've got my gas heater in here tonight, so that should help it get a little closer to 45, 50-ish degrees in here. And typically, for our cooler weather crops, like we've got collards and kales and whatnot starting to do pretty well. You can see these are pretty much ready to go out in the ground. And so my cooler weather crops, even my basil, right? The basil's starting to look pretty good. They'll do just fine, with this cooler weather, even in the inside of this greenhouse. But what I'm not taking a chance on, and we can see some watermelon is starting to pop up out of there. I'm not taking a chance on my watermelon, and I'm not taking a chance on my okra. So again, I'm going to be covering those up with this so that in case the power goes out or something happens with the gas heater in here, we've got some extra insulation for our warm weather crops such as our watermelon and our okra. Now again, down towards the end here, we've got cooler weather crops, so it's going to be just fine down here. Now also what we have down here is going to be some tomato. They'll be just fine. Tomato, I'm not worried about those. They'll be fine. So how you doing, Xylan? Says, how much money is this, brother? So putting the greenhouse together. So believe it or not, this greenhouse was built for free. The only thing that I paid for material wise is the screws. All of the wood that you see, we recycle from pallets. You can see on alongside of this wall here, we've got patio doors that were recycled. So basically what I did was went on Facebook Marketplace, found people that were looking to get rid of it. So I took everything and made it into free material. So the only thing it really costs us is time and screws. That's what it costs us. I'm gonna show you guys some stuff that I've got off Facebook Marketplace for free this particular week. $0. I got another patio door and a screen door this week on Facebook Marketplace, all for free. If I remember, I'll show you that. But yeah, none of this costs us anything. it was all recycled from pallets. Now, down at the bottom here, we've got some red Russian kale. We also have lettuce. We've got broccoli, tomato. All of those will do fine tonight. Even if it would have dropped to like 25, 30, all of this will be fine. But look at this red Russian kale. This really will do fine. So you can see the red is starting to kind of flourish in the inside here. So again, you know, a lot of you kind of think that gardening has to cost you a lot of money, but it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, right? So even on Facebook Marketplace, people are always giving away seeds. They're always giving away plants. I'm meeting a lady tomorrow that's giving away flowers, right? She's got these bulbs that grow every year. I can't remember which variety it is. And, you know, you got to be resourceful, man. You have to use Facebook Marketplace. You also have Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a good app, right? So a lot of things we get for free. Now, when it comes to particular seeds that we want, like, you know, stuff like this, the Morris Heading collards, you know, those collards that taste really good, kind of have that cabbage type of taste. Yeah, you're going to have to spend some money on that. Now, if you haven't been with us, we were able to get seeds like this for, I want to say they were 10 cents a piece at a particular point from Menards when nobody was thinking about gardening, right? I don't know if this was December or January, but we got those seeds when nobody was thinking about gardening, especially where I am and being in Grow Zone 5. And, you know, you got to take advantage of those moments, those opportunities. And I mean, we probably spent $2 or $3 on a lot of these different seeds that we have. And we got a lot of seeds. I mean, more than what I'm about to show you. So we got broccoli, we've got cucumber. I mean, we've got, you can see we've got some early prolific straight necks, which is looks like a squash. All kind of lettuce, all kind of herbs, and again, there's a lot of seeds that come in those too. So gardening does not have to cost a lot of money. It just absolutely doesn't. I even saw someone on Facebook Marketplace, they are giving away free topsoil, right? So typically when you're, you know, you got your raised bed or you're planting in the ground, however you're planting, a lot of people like to use topsoil because it's going to draw in the worms, it's going to break down into excellent nutrients for your soil. And so all of that type of stuff is on Facebook Marketplace, right? So we're looking here, even these tubs like this, I got for a couple bucks at the Goodwill. I mean, you know, it cost me a couple bucks. So I don't have to spend any money at all. And you be surprised. Everybody that we know, everybody that we know that gardens has probably extra seeds, or if they've grown something and it's going to seed, you can ask them for seeds. You don't have to spend money when it comes to gardening. You know, a lot of people look at all of this different stuff that you can buy from all these different advertisers, and automatically in their mind they start thinking, man, this is going to cost me a lot of money. But I'm going to tell you, if you have a shovel and you've got grass or some sort of land, that's the only thing you really need to get your garden started. If you got a shovel, you can dig, flip that grass from the top to the bottom, use your shovel, chop it up, make it some nice loose soil, and you're good to go. You can start planting that way. You don't have to spend money when it comes to gardening. Now, Another thing I want to say about that, when it comes to, keeping your costs low, okay? You got Facebook Marketplace, you've got OfferUp. I always see free stuff on there. You've got Nextdoor. Those are the good apps you can use. I would also say that at least in the area I'm in, right? So I'm in an area where if I were to go maybe a mile or so east of where I am, there's a lot of people that have chickens and all kind of, goats and stuff like that. On certain days, you'll look and see they have shovels and all sorts of things sitting on the side of the road or up against their mailboxes, and they're just looking to get rid of some of their stuff, right? So always keep your eyes open. My eyes are always open, even when it comes down to how we've been able to mulch our bananas and some of our other plants over the winter. All of the leaves that we collected were obviously from our yard, but at a certain point of the year, people are looking to get rid of those leaves. They'll sit them out in the front of their house. So you can take those. You can start a compound area where you create your own compost. Let it decompose. Throw some of your grass clippings on top, and you're gonna be making your own compost for the following seasons as it breaks down and gets that nice, consistency. As it heats up and breaks down, it's going to bring in worms and millipedes and all sorts of insects that are going to break it down for you, and you're going to look up and you haven't spent any money. Now, the problem comes with this, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, where I have all the resources available to me, right? So I have the ability to get leaves. I have the ability to get grass clippings, and I'll even collect grass clippings from people sitting out in the front of their house and create my own compost. But the problem is this, is sometimes we're too lazy to do what's going to be free and benefit us later, right? We got to get away from being lazy, because being lazy is going to cost us money later down the road. And so all it takes is 1 second of your time to grab a bag of leaves somebody's had sitting on the side or in front of their house. Listen, don't be afraid. Knock on their door, ring the doorbell. I mean, for me, I'll ring doorbells. Hey, I see you got bags of leaves. Can I take them? Right? Because I don't want to pull up and just start taking stuff. I want to let people know what's going on. Especially the way things are in this world now. You never know who's watching you and who's ready to take you out just because of, you're taking what is probably free, but you can't assume. So, yeah, we got to be resourceful, guys. And another thing we got to not be lazy about is when the broccoli goes to seed, when your collards go to seed, they start to flower, then they start getting the cotton on, and then they start to form the seeds. Don't be lazy. Take those seeds and use them for the next season, okay? So, Xylan says you have pumpkin seeds. So I do have some pumpkin seeds. I don't know if they're in here. They may be in our other greenhouse that we have, but I do have them. Not a lot. If I had to guess, we probably have about 50-ish pumpkin seeds. And the funny thing about the pumpkins, and I mentioned this on another video, is last year we had about 50 pumpkins planted, and there were these vine borers that came and ate up 48 of our pumpkin vines, leaving us only with 2 pumpkins from last year. So we had all of these plans to get a nice pumpkin patch going, and little insects will go in the vine, break them down, get them weak, and then you'll notice that your vines won't make it. So this particular year, what we're going to do is we're going to put our pumpkins in different sections. Now we did kind of do that last year. Like last year, we planted some in this raised bed here, but the problem is this raised bed here didn't get enough sunlight, and so because of that, the pumpkin didn't do as well. So yeah, this raised bed here, and then we've got another raised bed maybe about 40 feet behind where we are now, and that one was where most of our pumpkin vine or pumpkin plants or vines or whatever you want to call them were, and they just got absolutely destroyed. Now, the crazy part is this, okay? In these same areas, we had tomato plants, we also had cantaloupes, but the vine borers did not touch those at all, only the pumpkins. So I wonder why. So if you guys know why, which is weird to me, let me know, because they're all vines, right? I don't know, maybe it's something about those pumpkins. So let me know in the comments, okay? Now, if you have any questions for me, let me know. Again, for those of you that are just coming in, please hit that like button. We have been having some pretty nice days. This is what I wanted to talk about. And over the last week, we felt about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And so the garden was starting to kind of move a little bit. Now, the last 3 days, we've seen wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour where I am. Now, if you're in the inner city, I think the highest it got was maybe 60 miles per hour, and it's been nonstop of this. So your plants that are outside that can withstand all of this are going to be very strong plants if they're able to withstand this. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see, but we've got snow back on the ground. And this, what, March 16th, like I said last week, this winter is not over with, okay? So some of the things I don't want to take a loss on and play any games, so I've covered some of the things up, and we're going down to 14 degrees tonight. So knowing it's going to be 14 degrees and knowing how hard the wind has been blowing the last couple of days, as it's still blowing hard now, 60 mile per hour winds, I don't want to take any chances. Now, in fact, I've even bought some of the lettuce in the inside because you just never know. Even though I know the lettuce can take, 20, 15 degrees for, a 12 hour, a little bit more than that period of time, I just don't want to take the chance on all of it. Now, our lettuce here, I had it covered. The wind got back up to 60 miles per hour again today for the third day in a row. And so now I gotta put plastic on it again and try to get that plastic set up to where it's not gonna flip up again. So yeah, that's one of the downfalls of getting your garden started early. Now, the reason why I like to get my garden started early is for a number of things. One of them is we have a very short growing season, and so for me, I like to get a head start. Number two, with us having a short growing season, and you factor in the pests that come in at the peak season, whether we're talking the end of May, June, July, I like to avoid all of that headache that comes with the pests. And that's one of the reasons why I like to get the garden going early as well, because I want to be harvesting before those cabbage moths come, eat up all the collards, eat up all of the cabbages before the butterflies start to hatch their eggs on the broccoli and all of that. I want to already have most of what I've harvested for the year already out of the way, and I don't have to even worry and deal with it. So those are some of the main reasons why I like to go ahead and get the garden started early. Now, if you get yours started early, let me know why in the comments. If you start yours in May or June, let me know why in the comments, depending on where you are. And so I understand everybody is not in the same grow zone I'm in, which is grow zone 5. I know some of you may be down in Tennessee or Alabama or Florida, and you know maybe all year round is growing season for you. So even for where I am, a lot of people have greenhouses and they grow year round. Typically, I'm one of those people. The last year, this past winter, I didn't. I'm not even gonna front on that. I didn't, but typically, I'm a person that usually will grow all year round. I usually try to save everything that was grown in pots and stuff them in a greenhouse and see what we can get as we continue to harvest throughout the winter. Okay, so what questions do you guys have? Let me know what when do you get your garden started? Do you go based on what they say on the back of the seed packages? Do you have your rhythm you've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years? Let me know whatever it is on this live comment. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Now, if you're just coming in, right, we're expecting 14 degrees tonight. Again, it's coming out of nowhere. We've been having some nice 60 degree days, some nice, 70-degree days in there. We've been having some high winds over the last couple of days, and now it's all of a sudden going to be cold going into night all the way through tomorrow night. So a nice little, I guess you can say, freeze. I mean, this is going to be a nice freeze, right? Now, one thing we also have to think about is, although it's going to be 14 degrees outside, with the winds being as high as they've been, what is it going to actually feel like, right? So now we're talking about it feeling like it's 0 or even negative tonight if those winds stay around between 40 and 60 degrees. So that's one of the reasons why, again, I've covered some stuff up outside, and I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, because no matter what I've done to keep these tarps and whatnot down, it's hard to keep that air from underneath and blowing things up. Mrs. Busybody Garden, hello, how are you? She says, nice greenhouse, thank you. Third year gardener in zone 8B. So you're in South Carolina. Our temperature is expected to drop tomorrow into Wednesday. So I have a question for you. So you're in South Carolina. All right, so are you where there's mountains, or is that mostly North Carolina? Yeah, pardon me. I'm not really too familiar with South Carolina. I've been to North Carolina a couple of times, and the mountains are just crazy. And it's crazy because there was one year in April, I think it was 3 years ago, for my birthday, we stayed at this house all the way at the top of a mountain. Now at the top of the mountain, it was snowing and 40, like, I don't know, 35 to 40 degrees, windy. But when we went to the bottom, it was like 60 degrees. So that's weird. It's always weird how it is in those mountains. So you, Mrs. Busybody Garden, I'm in what's called the Sandhill Zone. Okay. So was that near, I know there's Columbia, South Carolina. I've got a buddy, I'm thinking now, so I've got a buddy in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I know there's another city in South Carolina too. I can't think of, near 95 South. Okay. So how far are you from, like, Savannah, Georgia? Is that a far ride for you, or is that closer to trying to think of that other city in South Carolina? But so you say I'm next door to Florence. Okay, yeah, I know where Florence is. Okay, yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Florence. I actually have a nephew down in South Carolina. I'm trying to think of that other bigger city. So you got Columbia. If somebody can help me out, let me know in the comments. I know there's like two bigger cities. Myrtle Beach. There's another one too. Myrtle Beach, Columbia, and then I think there's one more. So if you know what it is, let me know. I should know that. I'm yeah, pretty big into to the maps, and I can't even think of the name of that city. But yeah, I think that honestly, I think most of the country is gonna get hit with this nice cool front, and I even saw that Florida is supposed to be getting down, or the northern part of Florida is gonna be getting down to a near freezing temperature too. Don't know if that's true or not. Don't know if that still holds, but yeah, we gonna see what's gonna happen over the next 24 hours. So honestly, I think after we get past this 24 hours, the frost is not gonna be done for us yet, but I think this will at least be the end of us being in the teens. So that's gonna be making some progress. Now, again, that is very weird when you've had a week of only 60s and 70s during the day. And yes, we did see some nights in the 30s, over the last week. But it starts to get annoying when you felt those warm days like that, and then you come back to reality, right? To a 14-degree night with wind chills below zero. So again, you guys know we've already planted things. I mean, even up over a month ago. I think the first things we planted was maybe 5 weeks ago outdoors. I can't remember. And they're actually doing good, believe it or not. The lettuce popped up, onions have popped up, spinach has popped up, peas are all popped up, looking very good. So I'm not necessarily afraid for those, but I still wanted to protect them, because once you start going below zero and it feeling like below zero, yeah, it can be lights out. So if you've got something planted, you've got to have some sort of plan of action going into these cold nights, because you can lose everything that you've started to plant. So that's one of the downfalls to getting things planted early. So John C, hey, how you doing, John C? So we have been talking about a few different things about this crazy weather, how we've been feeling 60 and 70 degrees for the last week. In fact, one day was about 80. I think it was about a record. And then tonight we're going down to 14 degrees with wind chills below zero. So this is going to be a thing for the next 24 hours. I've got a gas heater going in here right now. Actually filled it up for about 16, 17 bucks. Actually, I did this last week because I knew that it wasn't over. So I got the gas heater going on. We're at about 55 degrees in here right now, but tonight, like I said, we're going down, into some treacherous temperatures, I'll say. We've got an electric heater on over there, but I'm gonna turn that off when I leave out of here, because I don't, electricity is kind of weird, and I don't want to start no fires. But I'm good with this gas heater running for a little while. All right, so John C says, I already had onions and tomatoes outside getting sun. Wow. So I actually, at this particular house, we put green onion in the ground, and I have green onion everywhere. We've started harvesting. I mean, I've got some green onion that are about this long already, and those green onions, you just cut them and they keep coming back every year. Cut them and they come back, and then they sprinkle the seeds down, and then the little bush comes back thicker and thicker every year. So we're looking good on the onion front even this time of year. I mean, the onions are doing great. I mean, we also pulled up some red onion, some white onion. All of those were planted last year, lasted through the winter pretty good. So we're doing well there. So Gail, not sure what to do. How you doing, Gail? 1025. They have germinated, but small, like they are stalled. Oh, for your bunching onions. So are you growing them? So did you start them indoors? Yeah. The thing with onion is they may do better if you just put them outdoors. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now I wouldn't put them outdoors at night because you want to kind of slowly introduce it outdoors. But onion does well when it's cold. I don't know what it is, but they do well when it's cold. But if you started those indoors, yeah, I would get those outside as soon as I can. I could. I think you said you were in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't put them outdoors at night because you probably in the same predicament we're in. You probably gonna be having -0 wind chills at night. So I will cool off on that. Maybe wait till it's a day where it's gonna be 50 during the day. Get it outside in the morning. Like if it's gonna be 50, 55, I think in maybe 3 days from now, get it outside in the morning. As soon as the sun comes up, let it sit, and then just let it be. They'll be fine. Okay. Uh, John C. If you had a way to insulate the glass or poly, the heat is lost fast. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so for those of you that have been here since the start of the video, so this top here, I'm gonna put it over this, um, and so I do want to drill a few holes on the top here so the air circulates, because I've noticed with this thing is like there's no air that circulates at all, and then you can start to see little mold, maybe whatever it is, kind of forming. But tonight, since it's gonna be cold, it may actually be okay. But yeah, typically I would take this plastic, as you guys know, and flip it over. Um, but for everything down here, like our collards and cabbages, even the basil. I mean, the basil will be fine. Um, I don't know. Herbs. I don't know. Herbs can take a beating when it's cold. I've got some German thyme that's been in the same spot, barely gets any sunlight the whole year, and I think I had it sitting there for maybe 3 or 4 years, and it just keeps pumping. It's felt -20 degrees. It's felt -40-degree wind chills, and that German thyme just keeps going. The same thing with the sage. Year after year, barely no sunlight for the last 5 or 6 years. It looks like nothing is impacting it. And the weird thing is the strawberries are the same way. It's felt -20 degrees year after year, and it's like nothing impacts it at all. I'm trying to think. Now, we started talking about the lemon balm and things like that. Of course, those are gonna die out. They're gonna come back every year. We've got oregano that comes back every year. So yeah, herbs can take a beating when it comes to that cold weather. Yeah, I'm gonna look into to insulating this better in here, John C, to keep that cold air from sitting in here. I know we've got So going across the top, we've got like air pockets. So for days like this, when we have this gas heater on, that all that carbon dioxide is just flowing straight out, and I don't know if you can see at the. I don't want to. I don't even want to mess with the phone because I don't want it to fall off or lose connectivity. But we've got a little bit of insulation. But yeah, you're right. We can insulate this thing a whole lot better to keep it heated. Um, yeah, just got to make that a priority. Uh, John C. Okay, in the next week, black storage containers in the greenhouse. Okay, so yeah, I know people have been doing the black storage containers and putting water in them. Is that what you talking about? Where they make sure it's water in them? Okay, Gail says she's in grow zone 5. Yeah, so I think you said you were in Michigan, right, Gail? You were in grow zone 5. Mrs. Busybody says that's a blessing and resourceful. John C says tomatoes and peppers should not experience 50s at all in spring. Yeah, you're right. Perfectly fine in fall though. Yeah, cause when when they're nice and mature, they'll be just fine. Like even in here, we had tomatoes growing in here without any heat. I mean, and we had tomatoes last year starting all the way at the end. They're growing all the way down. I mean, some of them probably were 30 feet long and they were heavy. And I would say they lasted to about January. And I mean, I didn't have any heat in here throughout the winter. So yeah, tomatoes can take a nice beating too. We actually have some little seedlings down there. And I said I was going to leave them just the way they are. But now you got me thinking. I'm thinking now. Like I said, I got my gas heater on here. I'll let this run for a little while. The electric heater we got on now, I'm not gonna let that run because of fires. But yeah, maybe I'll think about covering it up with some plastic or something and bringing it down here towards the gas heater. So Milana Roberts, hello. How are you? How are you, Milana? I think I remember you in New York, upstate New York, right? All right, Gail says this is very helpful. I've killed thyme, rosemary, ginger, and lavender. All right, so let's talk about those herbs. All right, so thyme is one of those that can take a beating either way, right? So if you're talking extremely cold, and notice how they give the title, they say it's German thyme, right? So if it's they're giving it a European part of the title, that means it probably can withstand some cold. So again, here we get down to -20. Thing has been going and going. Now another thing I've noticed about the thyme too is if it's 100 degrees, guess what? It's still thriving. It's like it doesn't matter what the weather does. That thyme is just gonna thrive. I don't understand it. I don't know why, but it just keeps thriving. Lavender. Lavender is like more like earlier spring. So once it starts to get really hot outside, I've noticed that the lavender doesn't really tolerate that heat really well. So, you're in the high 30s at night and you're in the 50s during the day, all the way up to maybe like 65. Your lavenders are going to do okay. Maybe some other varieties can go a little bit warmer. But really, you're a lot of the herbs are, well, at least the ones that more common ones that we grow here in America are going to do well in the cooler weather, not cold but cooler weather. Okay, so Milana, so John C says yes with water. Okay, so I've got a black black bucket I could use to put in here, put some water in here, and let the heat absorb it so it can spit it out throughout the day. Milana Roberts says, "Yep, seeds are doing well. Can't wait for spring." Yeah, yep, yeah. Let me. So Milana, you guys are you having some cold weather over the next couple of days? Let us know, cause yeah, we're getting some pretty cold weather. Miss is Busybody says Facebook groups are always trading and doing seed give. Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah, yup. Um, yeah, I saw a lady giving away banana plants for free on Facebook Marketplace. Uh, I said at the beginning of this video, there's a lady that is giving away different flower bulbs that yeah, I'll probably grab some of those tomorrow, uh, depending on how she feels about the weather. So we'll see how that goes. John C says, thyme, rosemary, and lavender all die over winter when the roots get too wet. In large pots, as long as they are moist, get supplemental water if needed. Um, that are okay. Rosemary in pots, I'll bring inside. So let me know, John C. Your rosemary. I've noticed too that when summer hits, rosemary, if once it starts getting a little dry out, it seems like it doesn't do that well. Um, Even when I've put it in the shade in the summer, just doesn't do well. Even if I water it, every day, 2 times a day, I don't know. Maybe it's just where I am. But so yeah, I usually have rosemary outdoors between the middle of April till about maybe the middle of June, and then I have to bring mine back inside because yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just where I am because it gets really dry here. Mrs. Busybody says I use free stuff apps too. Yep, that's the way to go. And that's one of the things we were talking about earlier in the video was like, when it comes to gardening, it doesn't have to be expensive. I can't remember the person's name, but at the beginning he asked me about how much all of this costs. Like I told him, I said, all of this wood you see in here, we got from pallets, right? Recycling pallet wood. All of the patio doors and all the glass, all of this stuff was for free off Facebook Marketplace, right? People are always looking to get rid of stuff because in the end, if they have to pay somebody to collect all the stuff they want, let's say from a house that they're remodeling, it's going to cost them more to get rid of it versus if you come and just take it and use it to build a greenhouse or whatever. So these 2 patio doors were free. All the glass that you see was free from old windows, right? So Facebook Marketplace, I'm telling you, Facebook Marketplace, Nextdoor, OfferUp, somebody said, there's all kind of groups that you can trade to get seeds. I mean, even people probably have seeds that they're not using at garden. So yeah, it doesn't really have to cost you anything. And if I was a person that said, you know what, I don't even want to buy any tools to start planting. The only tool that I would need, and I could get this from the Goodwill, I could get it for free on Facebook Marketplace. I've seen free shovels just driving through my neighborhood. People just setting them. Is a shovel. That's the only thing that I would need to maintain or start a garden, right? With the shovel, even if it's all grass, I can dig, flip it over, chop it up, dig, flip it over, make sure the grass is at the bottom, chop it up, break those roots up really good, get you some nice soil. Over the next, week or so, continue to just keep chopping it up. You're going to have some nice quality soil. Even where I am, where we've got clay soil, right? Some of the most terrible soil that you can probably use. And Now I will say this: corn does okay in the soil that we have, but there's all sorts of ways you don't have to spend money when it comes to gardening. You just gotta look on Facebook Marketplace and be patient, right? You have to be patient. Um, what you're looking for may not be on there the first week, the second, or even third week. But if you keep looking on there every day, you're gonna see some of the materials that you'll need, right? And so like this week, I've been looking for 3 or 4 weeks for another patio door and some screen doors. Was able to finally get some because I was patient. And if I remember, maybe we'll walk over to the other side and I'll show you what we got this week, all for free off Facebook Marketplace. Okay, so John C says when 20s and below. Okay, so you're talking about the yeah, the rosemary. Yeah. Mrs. Busybody says a purple logo app. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Gail says garden located in the east side. Afternoon sun. So you're so right. I'm on the east side of my house now. And so, yeah, you barely get that southward facing that sun coming from the south. Mrs. Busybody says black gold. Oh yeah. You know what? The city that I've seen have some of the best soil outside of some parts of Alabama. I've seen, you know, what that red soil is Chicago. Okay. I did grow up there. I lived there the first 18 years of my life. Chicago has some of the best soil, and I don't know if it's because, you know, is they've got that sand on the lakefront, right? I don't know if it has something to do with that. But even when you go over to Northwest Indiana, like Hammond and Gary, Indiana, some of the best soil that you can grow in. My youngest brother, I helped him get his garden started last year, and I was just amazed at how good the soil was. So yeah, that's they've got that black gold. Lisa says I'm in Chicago with 66 now. It's snowy, but your seeds are growing. Okay, yeah. See, yeah, you're where that black gold is. You know what I'm not even gonna lie. That soil they have in Chicago is it's amazing. That's all I can say. It's like kind of sandy, right? It's not this clay soil we have here in Indianapolis. It's kind of like black sandy soil. So Milana Roberts says yes, chilly, not too bad, drizzling. I'm in the mountains upstate, so weather is strange. So you buy and I remember you told me this before. So you probably not that far from Niagara Falls and Syracuse and all that area there. Mrs. Busybody, my rosemary survived outside all winter. Wow, it got as low as the teens here. Wow. Yeah. I'm telling you guys that those herbs can take a beating with the cold weather. But a lot of them, once it starts going over 70, it gets kind of iffy. Lisa says so true. Yeah, you know there is a lady I saw some years ago, and I don't even think she had a garden in Chicago, and most of what she used was in her garden was like compost. And now that I know what kind of soil that's in Chicago, yeah, if I knew her, I would tell her, hey, why don't you try getting a shovel and digging and seeing if you got some black gold in your yard. Milana, when or if you start fertilizing your seedlings. So my seedlings, so first of all, let me say this: the herbs I generally don't fertilize them unless I'm watering already and it's got a little fertilizer in them. But for the brassicas, right? Once they get about this size, I'll start to fertilize them. I haven't fertilized them yet, but so this is what I'll say. With my collards and my cabbages that are in this area here, we've got some kale down on all the way on the end there. Usually, I'm gonna fertilize them 2 weeks before I put them outside. And now I'm behind on when I usually get my collards and all of my brassicas outdoor. They're usually outdoors right now. So this week I'm gonna go ahead and start to fertilize them. That way they start to get a little bit more mature and established. Fill up some of this root room in here. So usually about 2 weeks before I know I'm gonna put them outdoors is when I do it. So yeah, once they really start getting like it's third-ish true leaf on there, and once they start to get a little bit bigger, is when I'll start to fertilize. Now, I'm not even gonna front with our okra and watermelon. As soon as I see them starting to pop up, once they're all popped, everything's popped up in this little section here, I'm gonna start giving them just a little bit because I'm up against the time clock. We have a very short growing season, and I want to get my watermelons and my okra. I'm not really worried about that, but my watermelon, I want to get a nice harvest this year. I don't want the vine borers to come in and wreak havoc, so I'm getting those moving as soon as possible. Okay, so John C says I found at least one of every tool being thrown out on Monday morning. Wow. Where are you seeing those at? He also says if grown under glass, ideally the roof or doors should be open to allow UV light in the plant so they develop properly. Okay. Yeah, this door here is always cracked, so even at night it's gonna be cracked a little bit. Cause yeah, I know that can make things start to get all types of diseases and whatnot. Lisa says, yeah, Chicago. I live in Sauk Village, and my garden is amazing. Okay, Sauk Village. So you so I used to live in a town in those south suburbs called Linwood. You heard of Linwood? So I want to say I lived in Linwood maybe for about. So this was after I lived and was always in the city. I lived in Linwood from about 10 years old to about 16 years old, and we used to always go to that skating rink and stay from 7 at night to 7 in the morning. They used to have these all night skates. I don't know if they still do that. But yeah, I know what Sauk Village is. Sauk Village, yeah, right off. Yeah, one of my childhood best friend lives in Sauk Village. I think now, somewhere off of Sauk Trail somewhere. So yeah, I know what Sauk Village is. Yeah, that was one of our neighbor towns there. John C says my aunt and other relatives had the best soil in Griffith and Hammond. Oh yeah, yep. They probably had that black gold too. So yeah, I don't know what it is. I think you know what? I think there was some sort of flood that happened to where that sand spread from Lake Michigan all throughout, even to northwest Indiana, all throughout the city. Cause my mom is in Hammond, and she's got that same type of soil. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's just some great soil. Gail says I was going to ask about adding sand to mix. Yeah, So I'll say this. I know for me, right? If I plant my, well, rather I put my watermelon in buckets at night. I always usually put a little bit of sand out there. Uh, there's actually beaches in Africa, West Africa. I want to say Ivory Coast. You got, Sierra Leone. You've got Ghana. All of those type of countries. Um, Liberia. I've heard there's farming that they do on the beaches where they grow watermelon directly in the sand. And so most of what I put in the pots when I'm growing watermelon in those pots is mostly sand, and they usually do pretty good. Now, if you're gonna do that, you got to make sure you feed it and give it a lot of nutrients. So you're gonna have to fertilize it more if you go that route to where let's say you do 60 to 70% sand. So yeah, just understand whatever you're growing in sand is gonna have some nutrients, because yeah, it could die off if it's not getting enough nutrients. All right, so Milana says Catskill Niagara is a 6-hour drive. Wow. Yeah, I've been to Niagara Falls one time. I think I was 12 or 13 years old. I just remember that it was just looking down in there. I just kept thinking I wouldn't want to fall in there. I remember seeing people canoeing and kayaking. Although I do those things, but doing it in Niagara Falls, I don't know. I don't know. I would do it, but I wouldn't get too close to that fall. I'll tell you that. So John C says I'll start fertilizer at 1/5 strength. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do, because sometimes some seedlings can't take that fertilizer too early. Good Eat Homestead says, hi, how are you? I'm doing good. How are you? Lisa says, my first watermelon and seed popped up. Okay. So, yeah, you must be growing those in pots. Milana says, okay, thanks. You're welcome. Lisa says, right next door. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember we used to ride the Pace bus on which street is it? I can't remember. Torrance up to the mall, to River Oaks Mall. But yeah, Salt Village. Yeah, they've got what's the name of that? They've got a Woo Woo's barbecue. So yeah, Woo Woo's barbecue. I think they got in Salt Village now. Yeah, that's some pretty good food there. Gail says love Chicago. Spent summers in Oak Park. Okay. Yeah, Oak Park. Oak Park is a nice area. There's another town called River Forest right next to Oak Park. And when I was growing up, in the 90s, it's kind of like they looped it together, right? So they called it Oak Park River Forest. So yeah, I know where Oak Park is. I actually got my cousin lives not in Oak Park, but another town next to it. So Lisa says 2 minutes from Sauk Trail. Okay. I think because we have a lot of forest areas still and a lot of organic materials on top of old floods and rainfall. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I try to get up there a couple times a year. I know we're wanting to get like a some kind of gardening, some sort of gardening informational type of meetup or something going there as well as here where I am now. So yeah, I'll let you guys know about that. Milana says, any advice on strawberries? My first time, they just sprouted a third leaf. So strawberry. So yeah, first of all, strawberries are all of the berries pretty much are pretty hardy. the strawberry plants that we have a strawberry patch here that's been here maybe 4 years, and we've got one that's over here, well, two of them that's over here for the past couple of years. I would say with the strawberry, you want to get them in a ideally a nice sunny location. They'll do fine in partial sunlight. This strawberry patch we have over right behind this fence here, during the spring, maybe gets about an hour or two of direct sunlight, and it's the most productive right here with barely any sunlight. And so we've got all sorts of variety. I think we have like maybe 5 different strawberry variety, and they all do well, no matter what we plant them. I would say, since you probably started them indoors, I would wait until, cause I would wait until about when it's gonna be consistently at least 55-ish outside, before I put them outside. Although they're very cold hardy, but since you've got 3 leaves on them, I would be careful with that. So I will wait till the temperatures around, 55, 60, at least for good, and fertilize them. Fertilize them when you get them outside. I know a lot of people don't like to pick off of them until the second or third year, but if you even at least want to see strawberries on them, get them out there outside as soon as possible and fertilize them. You'll probably see them start flowering even this year if you get a good hold on fertilizing them, like, as soon as the weather kind of clears up a little bit, and you'll start to see some little yellow flowers with white petals on them, and in the inside it's going to turn into green, and then you're going to start to see your strawberries form. So yeah, you got to get them outside, and you got to fertilize them. But again, if you want to wait until the next year to start eating off of them, which is what they recommend, have at it, do what you will with that. Okay, Lisa says yes, 2 minutes from Salt Trail. Lisa also says, I think because we have a lot of forests. Okay, I saw that. Woo woos, yeah, woo woos. If you guys have ever been in the Chicago area, there was, well, at least when I was growing up in the 90s, there was a Woo Woo's barbecue, and a time or two out of the week we would go and have some in this small town called Linwood, Illinois. There was also one on the west side of Chicago, and it's one of those places that many people didn't know about, and some of the best barbecue you will ever have, and it's mainly because of the sauce, right? So in Chicago, we put sauce on everything. Sauce on a burger, sauce on a hot dog, sauce in this mild sauce on pretty much everything. A pizza puff, I remember we ate those growing up. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, some of the best barbecue that you can have. So again, I'm not getting paid to talk about this, obviously, but if you're ever in that area and you're in the south suburbs of Chicago, check out some Woo Woo's barbecue. I haven't had. I mean, I think I had Woo Woo's maybe about 4 years ago. So yeah, look into that if you're ever in that area. Do they deliver? That part I don't know. You would think that with the technology nowadays that they would, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I don't, I remember when I was growing up, I think they only took cash too. So they only took cash back then. I'm sure they probably take card now, but I'll do a little digging and see if I can remember to let you know about if they deliver or not. But yeah, it's pretty good though. Oh wow, they delivered through Grill Hub. Oh, okay. So he's in New Jersey. So yeah, I'll and the guy that started the one in Linwood, Illinois, his name was Chuck, and I actually grew up with his kids. I'm not gonna put their names out there, but they were both a little bit younger than I am. So yeah, if you guys ever see this video, I'm just saying hi to you. I haven't seen them, and I can't even tell you how long that's been, but yeah, it looks like Lisa says they delivered through Grubhub at least. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, getting into New Jersey, yeah, we'll have to talk to them about that one. But yeah, it's gonna be good to get back up to the Chicago area whenever I can make it back up that way. It's always interesting to see how things are now versus how it was when you grew up. So he says he's only kidding. All right, but yeah, I've had some good moments in New Jersey too though. So like I said, I've got cousins that's in Trenton, New Jersey, a little closer to Philadelphia. So yeah, I remember when I went to New Jersey, they called I lived in Nashville for I don't know 14 years, and they called the sandwiches a sub. But then when you talk of like Chicago or even New Jersey, we called them a hoagie. So we actually in Chicago have this place called Home of the Hoagie, and so you get this nice sandwich, and then you get some fries, and then they put the sauce on the fries. That was kind of the thing. But then in New Jersey, they call the sandwiches a hoagie as well. So that's interesting. That's one thing that Jersey or maybe even the East Coast has in common with Chicago. We call those sub sandwiches hoagies. So that's pretty interesting. Born and raised in Jersey. Okay, so we got two Jersey people in the building. Okay. So Mrs. Busybody says she's born and raised in Jersey. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been up that way in a while. Um, I think the last time I was in New Jersey was maybe 2018. My cousin had gotten married, and now he's got two kids now. So yeah, 2018 I think was the last time I was there. So subs up north, hoagies in the south, same as Philly. Okay. Mrs. Busybody says been in South Carolina 12 years. Facts, John. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I had went so long without hearing the sandwich is called a hoagie. When I heard somebody say it for the first time in Tennessee, I knew they couldn't have been from Tennessee because when I was there, everybody called it a sub. And so when I heard somebody say hoagie, I'm like, I know you can't be from here. And I remember people were asking the guy, they was like, What is a hoagie? I've never heard of it." He was like, it's a sandwich like a sub. So I think one of my favorite commercialized, well, I still call it like a hoagie shop is it Jersey Mike's. So those things came, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, when Jersey Mike's started to hit the streets of Nashville, Tennessee, and some of these other towns in the South, it was over with for Subway for a lot of people that had grew up north. So it's kind of interesting how the how things can kind of turn with business. John C says I had to call soda pop when I worked in Colorado. Yeah, now in Chicago we call it pop. Um, in Tennessee, more like the rural areas, they call it a cold drink. So even inside of Nashville, some of the people I would say born within a certain time call it a cold drink, but then yeah, you do have a lot of people in many parts that call it soda. So that's always interesting, hearing people call it depending on where they are. So yeah, cold drink. I heard that for 14 years, cold drink, and then 18 years in Chicago, it was pop. And then if I go, on the West Coast, it's soda. So it's always interesting. So Mrs. Busybody says bread is too hard. I'm used to soft hoagie bread like from bogus. Okay. So you talking about the Jersey Mike's bread is too hard? Yeah, sometimes they can let that bread sit out a little while and it becomes hard. But I'll tell you what, I'll take that Jersey Mike's over Subway. I'll tell you that. I mean, Subway, if I'm starving and it's the only thing around, I hadn't prepared and I haven't brought anything with me, yeah, I'll take it, but I'll take the Jersey Mike's over the Subway, and then obviously I'll take something like the home of the hoagie over both of those. So, well, all right, guys, we are an hour and with 10 minutes in or so. It's about to get dark where I am. I got to do some more preparations. I'm gonna decide to move these tomatoes over here, and I'll talk to you guys probably in a couple of days or so. You guys can hear the winds blowing. Maybe we back to this 40 mile per hour wind right now. So let me get these wrapped up, and I'll talk to you guys later. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one too.